mental, right?
Physical health.
That kind of goes all.
We're not going there.
So,
This is what happened to Dan last night.
so we have all these that we're going to talk about today. But it's health. What's a good definition of health? What would you guys define health as?
And overall well-being.
Okay.
Good answer.
Overall well-being. I like
Go with
that.
that.
Anybody else have any other definitions of health? Or are we going to stick with that one?
I can consult with Webster if you want.
Isn't it the congruence model? When your body, mind, spirit, everything is in congruence.
Wow, that's like
But I can't spell that.
Congruence. So we found Webster yet?
Yeah. Soundness of body or mind.
Or
Freedom from disease or ailment.
There it is.
General condition of the body or mind with reference to soundness and vigor.
We're in there, right?
and
Bigger?
bigger.
I'm going to start defining some of these other ones.
Vitality.
But absence, the one that you said there, Webster just fed us a story about absence of disease, right? Or illness. I have asthma. It's never going away. I'll never be without that illness. So I'll then, according to Webster, never be healthy. Because it's never going away. This is what I deal with all the time. People come in with injuries, and they say, hey, doc, fix me. We have injuries there. I can't necessarily take that scar tissue out. I can't take rid of the arthritis that's there. It's going to be there. But I can help slow it down, right? So this is what I want to get into a little bit today. Let's not drink the water that they're just feeding to us. Let's question it before we start drinking it, before we're just taking it in, okay? So this is where it gets a little personal. I have a few addictions. I'm really addicted to the word potential because it's amazing. I used to be addicted to the hokey pokey, but I turned myself around. So, potential.
Oh my.
There's a few of those.
I like this guy.
You can work here.
Keep him around.
Bad joke.
Yeah, it is.
Fits in perfect here.
Okay, so we've defined health. Let's define potential.
Webster?
You say,
I like how you got the app and everything going on.
Oh my.
you need to use it a lot.
It's potential.
I'd say-
what you can become.
Yeah,
love it. Well,
I'd say the
what's
ability
possible?
to become.
Yeah,
ability
what's
to become.
possible.
Yeah. I love potential when you think of a sports car sitting there out in the parking lot. We all know the potential to get us down that street faster is sitting right there and under the hood,
But we know
right?
the potential of buying it.
And does it just make you cry a little bit when somebody stops in and doesn't know how to use it? They just lost that potential, right? I was in downtown St. Louis going to a seminar, and I don't know how to drive sports cars. I'm not a race car driver, but this poor kid, I mean, he just was struggling. Beautiful car, trying to get up to the valet, and he killed it like 4 times just getting in the driveway. And it just killed me. It's like, I just want to get out of my car and say, just let me take over, because your car has a lot more potential than what you're giving it. I'll take it from you.
I'll take that from here.
But I like that. Becoming, the capacity to become something in the future, right? So, with that, let's change our definition of health. Because we called it, or we said it was a state of being, right? Or well-being. This sounds more static to me. We're going to arrive at well-being. Do we? I know I'm not, according to the definitions, because I have asthma. I'll never get there. However, if we change this, my definition that I want to present to you today is health is not a state of being. It's not somewhere you arrive to. It's an experience. You experience health. We can experience bad health and we can experience good health, but it's a journey towards your potential. I tell people all the time, we're going to find your new normal. You sprain an ankle, really bad, we may never get back to 100%. There's damage there, tissues are never going to be back. We're going to find your new normal. I'm going to take you through a journey, an experience of health. So with that definition, let's go into some of these functions over here. Now that we got definitions out of the way, because that will change everything. So with financial, and I'm just going to introduce some of these because I'm not an expert in a lot of these, but I want to introduce them and explain how they interconnect. So financial, everybody can agree that they say money can't buy happiness, right? But we all know it makes it easier.
Sure by that sports car you're talking about.
Right? It makes it easier. So, some statistics out there. People, I don't want to get these mixed up because there's two different ones. If you have mental health issues, and I don't, not deep ones, we'll just say anxiety, depression, even some small ones, right? These guys are more likely to have financial issues. Interesting, right?
Yeah.
Makes sense. Maybe they can't deal, they can't go to work, so they don't have it.
Probably because psychiatrists are expensive.
No.
Oh.
I like that structure.
See, and that.
Jessica.
The interesting thing is, so we have people with mental health, they can't help that, right? They have it, it's there, it's the fact of life, they have it, but we're finding that that's hurting their financial health. Okay? But we also see people who put themselves in financial risk, into a lot of debt, they have 3 times the increase in mental health. So these are entirely connected right here. Mental health, financial health. So if you think they're depressed, sad, they don't have any money, what's next? Start getting stressed out, right?
The physical.
Yeah, go to the physical side.
They might fight with people, stressed out.
I was not stressed.
Of course, yeah, emotionally always.
So what's the physical side? What comes over here? If they've already had this, what are they doing to themselves? Yeah.
A lot of times if you have like an increased depression, then you'll have like less sleep as well.
Yeah.
Maybe your eating is
Heat.
Yeah.
a problem.
You too much fast food.
Wait, let's back that boat right up.
Sometimes people with mental, depending on what it is, are higher risk takers.
Yes.
Turn to
They
drugs or
participate in
self-harming
risky
behaviors.
activities.
In terms of drugs. Yeah.
Get on tape.
Perfect. So
That's why I'm such a daredevil.
Yep.
taking risks.
crosswalk.
So drinking and drugs
She's getting
and stress. What does that have to do with our emotions?
Those who partake of those substances, they say it makes them feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it just deadens their nerves or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know.
So when we get stressed, we hear that a lot. That's another buzzword. Oops. Stress. There's good stress and there's bad stress, right?
Yep.
So when we have long-term stress, we have increased cortisol. We've heard that, right? That wreaks havoc on our bodies.
It makes us have chubby tummies.
It does. It messes with every process, every system in our body. It messes with. Okay, and this is the interesting part, because cortisol we found as we deal with our emotions. In here, it will decrease how our brain perceives things, how we're motivated. So our moods go down. We were already depressed over here, and yet it just makes it worse, right? Mood, motivation. But what's interesting is that it will increase your fear response.
Interesting.
Your fight or flight. Yeah. So, stress is really keeping this ball of health going in the wrong direction. Right? It's just a big stress ball. So how do we fix that? Where's the key? The key is stress right here. If cortisol is what's really decreasing or wreaking havoc on our systems, and if we're stress and fears up and we can't go to work and we're not making money, where do we break the cycle? We find that the common theme here is stress. Let's break the stress. I tell people that all day. Really hard to do. Easier said than done, right? I ask people all the time, what do you have that you do at the end of the night to decrease your stress? Exercise, watching the TV, hot tub, read a book, exercise. All these things are great, but sometimes people don't do it, right? So this is where my expertise comes in as a chiropractor. This is where I convince everybody to find a chiropractor and go see one. Whether it's me or somebody else, everybody needs to have a chiropractor. Just like they need a dentist and just like they need their general practitioners. So this is what's cool, is that when we do adjustments, we are dealing with more than just the joints and the muscles. But here's what's frustrating to me as a chiropractor, is I can't talk about that. I can't say you have anxiety, come on in, I'll help you out. You have asthma, if I adjust you, your lungs are going to function better. Because insurance doesn't allow us to do that. You can't code it that way. I only work on muscles and joints. But it's so much more than that. So, research shows when we get a neck adjustment, our cortisol levels will go down. Well, and that alone, right? We just broke that cycle. Right there. So, continue to do your stuff at home. De-stress. But we may still be having some chemical processes that the joints aren't allowing you to fully decompress and decrease your cortisol levels. Not just the cortisol levels, because they measured this in hormones through the saliva. They also did MRIs after a neck adjustment, and they found that the brain reactions in pain perception, it lit up. So now the body's more able to harbor that pain and not hear it, or not get that signal. That's why it feels good when you come to me. Because we adjust you, you're like, wow, I feel better. Because I just blocked the pain signal to your brain.
Not only that, we would laugh for like a solid 20 minutes.
It's fun. I had fun over there. So, we not only mess with chemicals, but we're messing with brain function. How your body responds to not only pain, but emotions. This one's cool. Because when I adjust somebody, it increases your endorphins. When you go, everybody knows when you go exercise, endorphins go up, right? That's why it feels good. Same thing when you get adjusted. Now, getting adjusted does not take place of your 30 minutes of exercise every day. Right? So, please don't quote me on that. Dang it. But, I do want to present that there's a lot in the cycle of health and financial health, people that you guys help day in and day out. They may have more than just financial stuff going on, right? Coming to you for you're struggling. They have some other physical stuff going on. They may have some chemical dependencies going on. They have emotional things going on. Life happens. There's no way around it. But what we now need to figure out is how do we manage it. And I tell people that all the time. I'm not here to take your pain away because I can't. Those diseases, processes are there. Fibromyalgia, it's a huge one out there. You guys have heard of that one, right? I tell people all the time, I can't fix your fibromyalgia, but we can manage it. I can't fix your arthritis, but we can manage it. If I can improve your quality of life and take your pain levels from an 8 to a 4, we've just changed your life. So, look at health differently. And don't just accept or drink the glass of water that they give you. Because unfortunately, some of it's just flat out wrong. It's not their fault. It's just easy for them. You know, whoever they are. So, do we have any questions about what we were talking about?
I have to say, I've never left there in a bad mood.
No.
I have come in a bad mood.
Uh-huh.
It helps to have a fun chiropractor.
I do have one question, like, how often is too much, like, for an adjustment?
That is a great question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's a good question. I get it a lot. So
What?
it depends
Okay.
is the proper answer. Because my kids, when they're sick, have flu, coughs, colds, I adjust them multiple times a day. Because we know that when they get adjusted, I boost their immune system. So it just helps them fight off what they have.
Gosh darn, that makes sense.
So they may not have the fixations, but I just invigorate the joints. When you pop a joint, you are releasing those chemicals. So I'm boosting their immune system. So depending on what they have going on. Somebody with fibromyalgia, they may need to come in once a month. Somebody with a severe case comes in once a week. So it kind of depends on conditions. And that's why it's hard as chiropractors. We're not like dentists and say, hey, come in every 6 months. Because everybody's different. I may tell you guys to come in once a month, and it may be too much for you. Once a week, and it's going to be not enough. You know, it just kind of depends on the conditions. And that's where, you know, we try to help you with that. And it really, we find it out in a pattern. I have a lot of folks that come in and we look at it as like every 2 weeks you're here, so let's just schedule another one for 2 weeks out. And we find their maintenance pattern. Yeah, good question.
What do you think about people who can pop their back and necks?
Well, good
and all
question.
that? Like,
I
I
am
can.
Good question.
I about fired my secretary. Julie, whoever knows Julie.
Sorry, yesterday.
Yeah. She popped her neck once at the counter. I was like, are you kidding me?
Who? Cindy, you did?
Okay.
Julie did.
So
I saw Julie yesterday.
I am
Yes,
not
I did.
a good drawer. Okay, so there's a joint right here. Around each joint we have
That's not the joint.
ligaments. When we pop our joints all the time, and I'm talking, when you move normally, you stretch just like that, and things pop, that's fine. It's when you force yourself like that, crank your neck, stuff like that.
Oh, I see him do that.
You're doing that all the time, then what's going to happen is these ligaments become laxed.
Oh.
Okay, then the joint becomes unstable, and our body is so good at what it does, it recognizes that. It has a lot of counter-receptors in there that says, hey, this is a little too loose. We need to do something about that. So the only way the body knows how to get rid of that, instead of tightening those down, right, it grows bone to push against it, which makes it tighter.
That is perfect.
So these are bone spurs. This is arthritis. And it looks ugly, and it doesn't feel good. This is my Scared Straight program. Because that can wreak some havoc in the future for you. And I have a lot of people that come in and I ask them, any car accidents, old football injuries, what happened years and years ago? Because this just didn't happen last year. And sure enough, they'll come in, yep, I've been in several car accidents, but it was when I was in high school. And I was fine, never saw anybody. Well, arthritis creeped in, and it felt good because you popped yourself all the time. Because when you pop a joint, whether I do it or you do it, those chemicals are still released. You're still getting endorphins. The difference between you and me is I find the ones that actually need it, and we go after those. So yeah, popping joints is not great. Yeah, good question.
Studies have shown, or people say at least studies have shown, that when people visit chiropractors, their increased risk of stroke goes up. Would you validate or not validate that comment?
Here's where we get in trouble with that one, is chiropractors don't weed it out very well. Because a lot of times when that happens, it's not necessarily because of the adjustment, but their vessels were already compromised when they did the adjustment. So up in the neck, we have a vessel that goes right through the C1, so when we twist, we are going to be pushing on some vessels. If that vessel already has atherosclerosis in it, and it's already weak, then yeah, we can have some issues. And that's where the chiropractors get in trouble. And that's how I work, is I don't do a whole lot of hands-on manipulations. It's with tools and instruments, mechanical guns. And nobody has ever been sued and won with these instruments.
You should have brought those guns instead of these ones.
I know.
I got queued up first in line.
Do you use a gun to pop the joints?
They're fantastic. They're
really are.
handheld, but ours are electric. The research has shown that thrusting multiple times, up to like 6 is the optimal for a joint to get it moving. So my job is to find a joint that doesn't work, doesn't move, and just get it moving and loosen up the muscles so that it can move freely. The whole back is out of place is a myth. If your back is out of place, you need to be in the emergency room because it's an issue. So it's really stuck. That's what's going on.
having gone to a manual manipulation and the Pro Adjuster, which is the tool he uses, you're way less sore after the adjustment because, man, if you get your neck adjusted, I mean, barring anything you just said, and it's stuck, that can really leave you in a sore situation. But I've never had soreness like to that degree with the Pro Adjuster. It leaves you feeling good right away.
So that gun, how does that? I've had it happen to me, but what's exactly is going on inside the gun that's creating that?
No, that was a taser, Adam.
Those are cops, not chiropractors.
That'll move your muscles around.
He was a little off that night.
Yeah, I was down for like 24 hours.
Was it a nerve
The
problem?
spasms.
Boy, did it feel good.
So all the guns, so when we do it manually, I put the joint into lockout. You push it until it's right at that point where it's going to pop, and then you do a quick thrust. Okay? With my hands, I'll cover 5-6 areas. And when I go and thrust, I may get 4 that really don't need it. That's what I love about the guns. The guns do the same thing, but instead of my hands, we have a tip like this. So we're going in and we're hitting that one. And it's multiple times. Just
It doesn't hurt at all. I mean,
Yeah, I
it
know.
sounds.
We've always wondered what's going on mechanically inside of that gun. That's
yeah, I mean, a lot of
is
people.
there something just
they
hitting
call it
against
just
the metal or something?
It's just
Okay.
a stick that comes out and it just hits.
Yeah, 'cause I don't even remember.
Some people
feeling
call it a little jackhammer because it's just.
I agree that this particular type of adjustment, because I've done both as well, and you think it doesn't even seem like it did anything, but it does,
It
and
does.
your adjustment it stays for me at least a lot longer than a manual.
Yeah. Yeah. Maintenance is important. Getting adjusted when you have an acute problem is great, and you may need 3 or 4 to get better, but then staying regular is just like exercise. So you gotta keep the body trained to do its job. You can't avoid what we just consider, they call it subluxations or fixations in the spine. You just can't. Life happens, you have to go to work, you have to wake up, right? And moving is therapeutic, but when you have a segment that's stuck, we need to just get it going. And that's what we do as chiropractors. And a lot of people don't realize or know that chiropractors, we deal with more than just spine. It's more than just neck and back. We deal with shoulders, ankles, knees, elbows.
Toes.
I tell people all the time, if you have a joint, I can adjust it. TMJ work, clenching your teeth all day, because you're mad at your boss. That doesn't happen here. I'm just,
Why are you
Is that why I have that? That's why you do it.
He literally did something on my face when I had a cold to help me.
So sinuses. So we have those cavities back here behind your eyes. When we get all congested and stuffed up, a big one that people don't realize that chiropractors do. Stuffed up, people tell me, I can't come in because you're sick. So you need to come in because you're sick. I'm going to boost your immune system, and we're going to help that sinus issue. So you just put the machine right here, and you click around here, and just put some thrusts, breaks up that mucus, and allows it to drain.
Huh.
I had a really interesting one because the guy had to go into surgery, and he couldn't take his antihistamines, his allergy meds, and he was really nervous about that. He wasn't congested. I was like, well, let's try it. There's no harm in it. Let's just see what it does. So while he was off his antihistamines, he would come in once a week, and I would click around his eyes, and never had a problem. It was so cool. They don't teach you that in school, but it was just fun.
Is there any conditions that you shouldn't see a chiropractor for? Like if you're suffering from it? Like I know, I keep looking at Riley because she's pregnant, but and I know that you can do things like that when you're pregnant, but are there certain times you shouldn't do it?
There are certain conditions that we have to be careful about. An interesting one is Down syndrome kids should never be manually manipulated in their neck because the ligaments around C1, C2 are very laxed in that. And so if they're manually manipulated, they're more likely to have an issue with those vessels. And so we should be careful with certain things, but not many like that. Post-surgical, especially the way I adjust with the machines, we can always work around those fixated parts that you just got fused together. Sometimes that happens, but we can't fix them all, and the damage has gone too fast, too hard, that we can't save it. So I'm not against surgery, I'm not against drugs. They all have their place, but so do I. And we just need to get the medical world to agree with us. And it's getting much better than it used to be. Way back in the day, they tried to eliminate our profession, and then they didn't. It just works, and we worked a long time without insurance too. And so it's a profession, it's a type of work that they did long time ago, and amazing for your body. And I think we're figuring out more through science and how we do research now, that it's more than just muscles and joints. We're dealing with brain chemistry. We're dealing with lighting up different parts of the brain with what we do. And that's really fun.
So I'm just curious, and this might define where I'm at in your little health box. So when my kid breaks his arm, it's like financial decision first, then are you okay next? Like, just put some aloe vera on it. And you don't have to go to the emergency room.
Yeah,
and we'll
seeing
be
dollar
fine.
signs on the floor right there.
Yeah. It's like, honestly, it's like, oh,
Yes.
there's $2,000 out the window, and we're not even.
What were you thinking?
Yes.
Yeah.
What? Never. So, like, what does our insurance cover? Like, how much does it cost to go? Is there like so many visits you get per?
Yeah, every plan's different. Average is 12 to 18 visits in a year.
Ours is 18.
Ours is 18.
18.
And that, yeah.
After the deductible?
After the 750, is it?
You just get that many visits no matter what,
To a
even if
chiropractor.
you surpass the 750, as
You
Judy
have to
told
pay
me
more
a
of
couple
them,
weeks.
though.
After that, it just, insurance won't pay for any, so then
No,
you
they're
are-
done.
then
Yeah.
you-
But
That
they're
But
going to
you-
apply it
yeah.
against the deductible.
So on our plan,
first.
you don't have to be referred or
No.
have a specific.
We're a primary
injury.
care physician.
Okay.
We're porter of entry, as they call it. So I've had people, when I practiced in Utah, I was their primary care. They would not go to a medical doctor. That scared me a little bit because I believe in medical doctors. But when they got sick, they got colds, they came to me. Did what I could do. And it never got too serious where I had to refer them out and tell them, listen, you need to go. But I was their primary care. Yeah. So under insurance, the rules are changing hard and fast in this atmosphere. And we're trying to roll with those punches, and we're trying to develop some programs because we're finding, you guys have a good health plan, you really do. We found a lot this year that are anywhere from $6,000 to $13,000 deductibles. And they're paying, $300-400 a month to even have that. So they're coming in, they have 18 visits, I have it on my plan, but they have to pay out of pocket. So we're trying to develop some programs so people can come in cash-based and still be compliant and not have the insurance company try to throw me in jail because I'm having 2 fee schedules. They hate that.
So if you have not used your deductible, it's $50 to go in.
It used to be.
And then once you're, it used to be.
That's one of the things that we're having to change. Insurance is
Okay.
telling us that we can't bundle our services together or down code them. So if I work in all 3 areas of your spine, I have to charge what I would charge the insurance for all 3 areas. What we have been doing in the past, and everybody was, is that even though I worked on all 3 areas, I would tell the insurance I worked on 1 to 2, so that when it came back to you guys, it wasn't $100, it was only $50. So now we're having to change some of our rules because they're coming down on us. So that'll come down the pike for our office here in the next couple weeks.
Our insurance commissioner is going to get a strongly worded letter.
So what's cool though is if we don't have to deal with, and this is what we're doing, if we don't have to deal with insurance, and how we're doing that is contracting with companies, and which is what we're going to sit down and talk to them about after this meeting, is contracting with companies so that they can come into us cash
Way to go, Dan, man.
at a way lesser price, right? So, and individuals who I don't contract with their company, they're just walking off the street and I have to contract with them personally. So we have a contract that we're trying to set up at $10 a year for that contract, and then they can come in for $45 a visit. And then I have to deal with insurance and come in, and that's how we're skirting the rules. That's how we can be compliant. So we
And
have
then
to
there would
contract with people.
Be a limit of 18 or anything like that? You just
No,
go for
that's,
it.
yeah. We think people should get all the care that they need that's necessary. And this is what's frustrating, is that they are dictating your care and how much money you spend. I just got off the phone with Blue Cross a couple weeks ago. Under their protocols and diagnoses that I sent in, I should be seeing this patient 6 times. Well, I saw them in 3 because they got better. But then my numbers look bad because I'm not reporting that they got better 6. It's like, well, what's the deal with that? They said, you need to do more patient education and let them know that you are held to the standards of their policy and they need to come back and see you 3 more times. I'm like, you guys are crazy.
I'm trying to save you money.
Right? This doesn't make any sense to me. So, insurance is a whole new ballgame, and we're trying to make it so it's easier for you guys. Insurance, the people who are making decisions, some of them aren't chiropractors, yet they're dictating your policy and when you come in. So, we're trying to get around those. But it's a fantastic question because if I can be portal of entry and I can fix some things before you go to surgery, if I can get you now instead of 20 years from now, then I'm going to save you a whole lot of money.
You probably can't fix your kid's broken arm, but he could fix the rest of his body that it got jarred
We
when
have
he fell.
essential oils for that.
Okay.
Essential.
Deep Blue is fantastic. Throw some napkins on it. There's research on that.
It is crazy to balance between a chiropractor and a general practitioner, though. Like, a couple years ago, my shins, like the skin on my shins were burning for no good reason at all. And I'd been to the doctor, blood test, you know, they're like, we don't know. And then I happened to mention it to Dr. Heaton one day. He's like, oh! I mean, I'd been to the doctor, I think, 4 or 5 times, and they're like, and it was the weirdest thing. And then he's like, oh, I know exactly what that is. And the next day, totally solved. Like, and I'm like, this sounds so stupid, Dr. Heaton, but this is what's going on. He's like, oh, I know exactly what that is. And he just corrected it, and that was it.
Yeah. So back in the day, chiropractic degrees were small programs, like 9-month programs to get certified. It's 4 years now. We have the same amount of hours as medical doctors. I read from the same diagnosis textbook and was from the MDs. In fact, one of them I had on a test, and I watched the House episode the next night, and I'm like, come on, guys. Come on, House.
Cushing's disease.
It's Cushing's.
Right? Yeah. So chiropractors really have a lot of knowledge that we just aren't credited for. You know, because people don't realize that we deal with it. Or at least we know what's going on, and there may be something that we deal with. Let's take acid reflux, for example, or my asthma. When I adjust the spine, then it's a safety pin loop, right? So when I adjust the spine, the nerves go around to the lungs, helps function the lungs. If the lungs aren't functioning right, it'll kick back and it makes my back sore. So it's hard to say which one's first. Is it the chicken or the egg? Is it the lungs, or is it my back causing the lungs? So there's been a lot of really cool things that we've done with kids, babies, colicky issues, constipated issues when kids are going into formula. We help with that. There's a lot of things that we do systemically that people don't realize that we can help with. Stomach issues, that kind of stuff. Yeah, really interesting things. But here's the thing: I can't go out and put on a flyer, hey, I can help you with your asthma. That's against the law. They don't allow us to do that.
My daughter, when she was born, she was I don't remember. I think she was having some issues sleeping through the night, and they said take her to a chiropractor, and so we did. We took her to Dr. Gardner on 17th.
Yeah.
But you know, every other week or something like that, we would go in, super short visit, just fine, and she seemed to be doing well. And then she also had some digestive issues, so he gave us some enzymes to give to her, so we gave her like a half capsule or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it helped things a lot. So
the thing with kids that people don't understand that what we're doing, they're babies. They don't necessarily have the fixations because their bones aren't fully developed and hardened. So what we do as chiropractors when they're kids is we're stimulating the nerves in that area of the spine because we know where they go. So for kids with colicky issues, then we're adjusting them in their upper spine because that's where that needs to come out to the lungs, or we're doing for constipation down around their sacrum because that's where the nerves come out to the bowel and bladder. So we're just stimulating nerves in those areas with babies. Yeah, it's awesome stuff.
Adam, did you sign up for that one?
No, I was just asking. We're going to talk about we're safe in here.
It's a safe zone.
yeah, only the internet's watching.
So if you've never been before, or maybe gone once or twice, how do you know when to go in? It sounds like you say just go in and they'll take your car in and just do the...
We're known as like pain people, right? If you're in pain, you come in. I've had a handful of people that say, hey, I just want to get checked out just because I heard this is good. Let's just give it a shot. There's not a one of you in here that I couldn't find a fixation in. And, you know, an area that I could adjust that needs it.
How do you find it? How do you...
We're a touchy-feely
Magic hands.
You go to school
Magic
for 4
fingers.
years, Chad.
Yeah, and I thought they were crazy when they told me when I first got there. I said, you're going to tell people where they have pain before they tell you where they have pain. Or you're going to find spots that they didn't know were painful. And then we do. And it's just, our
Do a
fingers
test
are,
on Alicia.
are
That was
trained.
that was me. Actually, he did. He's like, "Does this hurt?" And I said, "Nope." And then all of a sudden, he's like, "Oh, does that hurt?" And he said, "Oh yeah." Didn't realize I had pain there.
Yeah.
Well, I think sometimes you don't know that you're in pain
Because you're just so used to
it
it.
just feels like that.
Yeah. You don't know what you could feel like. You don't know what good feels like.
It does impact your mood, like, too. Like, some days you wake up and you're thinking, oh. And then you go to the chiropractor and you're like, oh, okay, I can make it. The next day you get up, it's a little bit lighter. Like, it just makes things, like,
Even my day when I had the Monday chiropractic visit, I was like, yes, I'm so excited.
Alicia went in on the last Monday, went in on Friday, and then went back in on the Monday holiday, and texted me and was like, oh, no headache. It's so awesome.
Yeah. And people say out there, well, if you go to a chiropractor once, you're going to have to go for the rest of your life. Once you get started, you're just going to be there. It's not like that.
You'll want
it's because it felt good. It's awesome. I joke with my patients all the time that we should have a Surgeon General's warning on the door. This is addictive. Before you walk in, this could be addictive. Yeah. Good questions.
For people who have busier schedules and other things like that, how long is a typical appointment or adjustment that...
That's fantastic. And every office is different. So some of the offices I started when I first got out of school, it was 15 minutes to 20 minutes. Some of that was my lack of experience and going through all the motions they taught me to do in an ideal world. And then I got into real world and became that realistic optimist. And here, it roughly in 8 to 10 minutes, depending on how long we talk.
Takes you longer to get across Woodruff.
Sure does.
Than it does to.
It feels ridiculous to drive, but sometimes
I know,
it's
seriously.
faster.
It's safer.
Yeah.
You can get your steps in though.
Yeah.
You just go to John Adams.
It's hard to get across the road
I
out there.
attempted it
We
once.
just need to build a bridge for y'all.
Yeah, that'd be all right.
Or an underground
That'd be
tunnel.
hilarious.
That would be awesome.
What if that an
Is that
over the
creating
top?
one place?
Yeah, Julian be a crossing guard.
You know, our fiber line comes across that.
Zip line us. Zip line us right over there.
Is there,
We have a little
is there
awning.
specific days that you guys see new patients or
Wouldn't that be
anything they should be aware of if they haven't been in before?
No, the first appointment's going to be a little longer so I can get to know your
That
case.
would be good.
But depending on how complex it is, really half an hour is a first visit, if that. And then visits anywhere from 8 to 10 minutes. If I'm working on one area, just the neck, not even 5 minutes. It doesn't take long to adjust. So
Is it necessary to have an x-ray when you're a new client?
that's fantastic too, because no. We go on, yeah, I can see it all from here. They have those Google glasses, right? You don't have to. A lot of chiropractors do, and back in the 80s, insurance paid for everything. So all these chiropractors who started in the 80s, they x-rayed everybody because they got paid for it. Standard of care, what everybody should be doing is a trial of care. 3 to 6 visits, let's see if it works. If it doesn't, then let's get some x-rays because there may be something in there that we can't feel. And that happens maybe 10% of the time. Hardly ever do I send people for x-rays. And some that I have sent, they just want to see what's going on. Yeah. MRIs and stuff. They come in, hurts to cough and sneeze. That's indicative of a disc injury, some herniations going on, but I don't send for an MRI right away. Just because I can manage that. If we get the pain levels down and the trial of care worked, let's keep going. We can manage it for years that way and keep you out of surgery. Yeah, that's awesome.
Do you also make recommendations to supplements for your patients?
We have some supplements in-house, but not very many because we don't want to be a pharmacy. But yeah, we give nutritional advice, things like that will help with muscles and joints, but also systemic stuff. Yeah. We do exercises, we do stretches, we do that kind of stuff. We don't always perform them there in the office, but I give you a sheet that you take home so you can remember how to do it. And we're always, a phone call or an email away if you ever have questions, that kind of thing for patients. If something new happens, they can always call us. Our phones are always forwarded, so even during the holidays or weekends, people get a hold of us. So, yeah.
Do you have a massage therapist at your location?
We do.
You do?
She's not there every day. She doesn't sit there waiting. She's actually a receptionist as well, so we have to schedule for her. She's down in Rexburg. We're getting another one. Yeah. Yeah. Hold on a second.
The best waiting room on the planet.
You need to go
So
wireless,
multitasker.
perhaps. Yeah.
Right, yes. So, thank you for letting me come out. I don't know how much time we have. I probably overspent my time.
You have till 5:30.
I can go all day. If that's the case, I'm gonna go get my table.
I was going to say, should I run across the street?
Yes. Yes,
We can just reconvene this meeting next door.
Seriously.
Yeah.
So Jude, 4-ish, we're good? All right.
How many of you? 4?
3 at least.
Yep, you're gonna put 4.
Well, thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Totally forgot about the bag.
Candy. This guy's knowing so what?
So, the sticks you'll find in there,
The tongue
those are for
depressors.
health goals. You write some health goals on there and stick them in your pencil holder
I like it.
so you can see them.
I like it.
Little nuggets of knowledge, some tissues for when you have that emotional day.
And the gun?
And the gun, yeah, of course, I want to keep you safe at work.
Did you see how many people dove behind